All right. Well, good morning, everybody. We want to welcome you to our service. Also, to those of y'all who are online, we want to welcome y'all. Today, we're going to be in 2 Peter. If you have your Bibles, you want to kind of get ready to get over there. We're going to be looking at a weird passage, 2 Peter chapter 2. We're looking at a weird passage about a man who got chewed out by a donkey. So this is going to be one of those stories you're going to have to really listen real closely, because this is not like a really easy story. But we want to welcome everybody here, and I hope that y'all have to continue to be in prayer for each other, be contacting each other, and we once again welcome you to the service.
Good morning. We're glad to see some people in the seats this morning. We're really glad you're here. We're glad y'all are here with us that are with us virtually. We're going to start by singing Praise Adonai. So if you'd stand, we'll go ahead and sing.
Who is like him, the Lion and the Lamb, seated on the throne? Mountains bow down, every ocean roars to the Lord of hosts. Praise Adonai, from the rising of the sun to the end of every day. Sing praise Adonai. All the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise. Who is like him, the Lion and the Lamb, seated on the throne? Mountains bow down, every ocean roars to the Lord of hosts. Praise Adonai, from the rising of the sun to the end of every day. Sing praise Adonai. All the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise. Praise Adonai, from the rising of the sun to the end of every day. Sing praise Adonai. All the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise Adonai. From the rising of the sun to the end of every day. Sing praise Adonai. All the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise.
Again, we want to welcome you to our strange hybrid services, where we've got some of you here and we've got some of you on Facebook and YouTube. Again, we are really grateful for your faithfulness in watching and attending. Would you bow with me in prayer? Dear God, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for this Memorial Day weekend. Lord, we ask that you help us to be mindful of those who sacrificed for our freedom and for this country, Lord. We just ask that you be with this service in a special way, that you lead us and guide us, and help us to have open hearts and ears to hear your word, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. You may be seated.
We're gonna talk for just a minute. In 2 Peter, the chapter where we're gonna be in, it talks a lot about persecution. And so we're gonna just kind of go over real quickly kind of some things about false teachers. Most of us do not teach. But a lot of us are examples, and we're examples in what we say, we're examples in what we do, we're examples in what we support. False teacher may look like a Christian, they may have like the trappings of a Christian, they may even use a Bible, but they're not really teaching Christian beliefs. They don't believe there are consequences for what they teach, or they teach wrong. They don't really have a fear of God if you listen to them, because they're not really afraid of the sins that they okay or say that's good. And a lot of times they're aimed at people who are not spiritually mature. So one of the things to combat a false teacher is one, everyone as a Christian should grow up as a Christian. They should mature. They should become stronger and more mature, be more comfortable in the Word. They should ask questions when they hear something that doesn't make sense. They should ask questions. And remember that in all scriptures when they teach it, you can't take things out of context. You can't just like take one verse and pull it out. You got to think the big picture. If you're teaching something and it doesn't agree with the rest of the Bible, then you kind of made a mistake. So that's just kind of in a nutshell some characteristics and some things to watch out for in false teaching.
We're going to continue singing. We'll sing 10,000 Reasons. Ask you sing with us.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your
we'll sing the first, third, and fourth verses. America the Beautiful.
Reading from Matthew chapter 15, verses 10 through 20. And he called the people to him and said to them, "Hear and understand. It is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth. This defiles a person." Then the disciples came and said to him, "Do you know what the Pharisees were offended when they heard this saying?" He answered, "Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be rooted up. Let them alone, they are blind guides. And if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit." But Peter said to him, "Explain the parable to us." And he said, "Are you also still without understanding? Do you not see that whatever goes into the mouth passes into the stomach and is expelled? But what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart, and this defiles a person. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false witness, and slander. These are what defiles a person. But to eat with unwashed hands does not defile anyone."
We're going to continue singing with Trust in You. Letting go of every single dream, I lay each one down at your feet. Every moment of my wandering never traces what you see. Tim, that was, that was a weird technical issue. I did not mean to do you, so that was me, not so much, Tim in the back. We'll have something to talk over at lunch now. And on that note, we're going to enter our time of prayer. Ask that you be praying for each other, especially be praying for our church. Be praying for us now as we try to open up partially, because honestly, it's kind of weird having a camera and, having a few of you here, but I, for myself, am real excited that we are at least able to limitedly start gathering, because we've missed Joel a lot. Are there any prayer requests that y'all have? And for you online, if you want to type something in the comments, we'll be praying for that as well. We just ask you to take this time now to pray for any on your heart and for the rest of the service.
Dear Heavenly Father, let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for all the things you've done for us, Lord. We thank you for your continued watch care over us, Father. We thank you, Lord, for all the blessings and protection you've given us so far, Lord. And we thank you, Lord. We thank you, Lord, that we are able to meet, Father. And Lord, we just ask you to continue to watch over our health of our families, and health of our friends, and watch over our nation, Father, as we go through this. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. If you have your Bibles, turn to 2 Peter chapter 2. 2 Peter chapter 2. This is a weird passage. If you were just going through and reading through the Bible and you came across this passage, you would kind of wonder, what's going on here? But here's a story about a prophet in the Old Testament who basically got chewed out by a donkey. Now, I grew up on a ranch with donkeys. And Christy can tell you that we have been chewed out I've been chewed out by a lot of donkeys in my time. But this donkey chewed them out where they could understand. And it spoke the language of this prophet. So this is kind of a weird story, and as a guy has got kind of a weird he's got a weird background. So we're going to kind of explore the scripture and kind of get the whole gist of it. This chapter starts out with the description of a false teacher, and it's a great chapter to just kind of read and think about. But this guy's story, Balaam, and we're going to get to the scripture in a minute, but I want to give you the background. He's not an Israelite. He's not a Jew, but he lives in a country that is at war with Israel. And the king, who is king of Moab, who is fighting Israel, he decides, you know what? I'm going to call this prophet, and I'm going to have him bless the troops. This is something they did back then. And so he decided he's going to call this prophet, and he's going to say, come over here and bless my troops before they go to war. So he goes and he sends some people out there, and they say, okay, I'm going to give him a lot of money if he just comes and goes. Well, first time that he goes to get him, this guy says, no, I can't go. The Lord said not to go. So they go back to the king, and the king says, go again, take more money, and, we're going to pay him for this, get him over here. So he goes again, and the Lord tells the prophet, okay, you can go, but only do what I tell you. Don't deviate, just do what I say. So on his way, this is in Numbers 22, on his way he goes along, and he's riding a donkey, and the Lord sends an angel. And apparently the Lord sends an angel to kill the prophet. Because apparently the prophet, in some way, the prophet, I think in his head, has decided to sin. He's going through the motions, but he's going to disobey in the end. One part of it, so as he's going along, but he sends this angel to take care of the prophet. But the prophet can't see the angel. Only the donkey can see the angel. So the donkey's going down the trail, he sees his angel, and the donkey says, oh no, I'm not going down that trail. So they go left, they go right, he scrapes on the side of the wall, which if you've ever ridden a horse, horses have a habit of going real close to the wall and scraping you up. And the guy's beating the donkey and is like, come on. And the donkey turns around and tells him, hey, what are you doing, Why are you beating me? Can't you see what's going on here? This guy has a bad end, unfortunately. Because he ends up with this army again later in the scriptures, and he gets killed. So it's kind of a weird story. So we're going to drop in, they drop his name right in the middle of 2 Peter. And we're going to 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 15. And he's talking about false teachers, and he says, they have gone astray by abandoning the straight path, and they have followed the path of Balaam, son of Bozar, who loved the wages of wickedness, but received a rebuke for his lawlessness. A speechless donkey spoke with a human voice and restrained the prophet's madness. So if you're just reading your Bible reading plan, like I was, and you come to this passage, you're going like, what in the world are they talking about? A talking donkey and everything? I first heard of this passage when I was at Howard Payne, and the guy who was teaching the preaching school, he reminded us that the Lord could use a donkey to preach. So, don't let it go to your head, okay? But what happened to this guy? What was it about him that, made him sin? Made him get so far in the hole here that God gets so mad at him, and only his donkey can save him. One thing I'll tell you, I think about this guy, is I think that his heart really was far from God. That inside his head, the voices in his head, if you will, were far from God. We see later that when this guy gets a chance to sin, he jumps at it. In life, we do a lot of things, and we don't do a lot of things maybe because we're afraid of what? We're afraid of getting caught. We're afraid of the consequences. If we get caught, if we think we might not get caught, we might take a chance, and consequences hold us back from a lot of times. But we need to remember that God is still watching us, and God still knows what's going on. A better motivation for people is not to think that you can sin and get away with it, but think about it as you would treat a loved one. You wouldn't do something to hurt a loved one. And this is that relationship with Christ. For But when this guy had a chance to sin, he jumped at it, probably because he thought he could get away with it. He thought he could hide from God. Now, nobody ever says this out loud. Nobody will ever come in and say, you know what, here at my house, no one's going to see me, including God. I've got that God shield over my house, and no one can see what's going on. No one will say that out loud, but we need to be careful here, because a lot of people believe that there are places and times where God won't see them. A lot of people believe that they can hide from God, that they're going to do things, and God will never know what happened. Simply not true. First off, a lot of people are watching you wherever you go. And then the second thing is that God is everywhere. And if you're a Christian today, God is in you. But even if you're not a Christian, He is what we call, there's a long word, but He is everywhere all the time. So there's no surprise about God. God is everywhere. He's much bigger than what we think He is. So this guy was kind of going through the motions. And when he thought he had a chance to go for the money, he would later do it. He would later go for the money. This is that wages of sin. So this guy teaches us a few things. One is you need to watch what goes on in your life when nobody's around. What is your faith like when nobody's around? If we were to keep a recording of all the things you did for a week, would you be embarrassed? A person one time told me that if the church knew some things about them, they would leave the church. A better answer is just stop those things and don't be embarrassed about it. But what is your faith like when nobody's watching? What is your faith like? What's going on in your head? This guy, Balaam, he said a lot of the right things. He said some good things. But I don't think in his head he was there. When you're by yourself, what is your faith like? When you get into situations, where is your faith? Are you right now playing hide and seek with God? We some of us here work in jobs where they have video cameras. Christy works in a job where there's a video camera, and some of the Border Patrol, work in there. Where I used to work, we used to have video cameras, and the video camera come on, and everybody suddenly want to behave. You see the little red light blinking, and everybody suddenly straightens up. In law enforcement, just if we're doing something wrong, it stops right there. If you're listening, and so that video camera modifies your behavior. If you think God isn't watching, you think you found a hiding place, you're there. Last week we had a scripture, and we talked about David and Bathsheba. And one of the things about the story about David and Bathsheba is that David goes off, and he goes and he commits adultery with a woman, and he has the husband killed, and it goes on, and suddenly a prophet comes to talk to David, and he says, David, I want to tell you a story about what somebody did. And he tells a story about this guy who stole a sheep from a poor farmer, and he tells the story in depth. And David says, That guy who stole the sheep, he should be killed. And the prophet looks at David and says, David, you're the man. You're the one who did this. When you're hiding from God, you're hoping or counting on avoiding that you are the man scenario. You hope that there will not be a time when somebody will check you. Somebody will correct you. Somebody will rebuke you. You're hoping that when you see God, that God won't mention what you did. Today, we encourage you that, remember that when you go out from here, God is with you. When you go to work, God is with you. When you're at the house, God is with you. At all times, God is with you. So you need to think about what you're doing. You need to think about what's going on inside of you. Remember that God is always with you. One thing I think that we need to remember is that the things we think of inside, eventually I think they become actions. You ever think about that? The things you think of, this is a lot of times how sin and temptation works, is you see something, and I'll use myself for example. I'm going around the store, and suddenly I see some new chocolate. And I think, well, not today. Not today. I'll pass on it today. I'll go home and think, I really should have bought that. I should go check it out. Oh man, that's a lot of sugar there, maybe not. So I'll eat it once or twice. Eventually I'm going to come to the store and I'm going to take it. And that's the thing, is that a lot of times when sin presents itself, it's not the first time you thought about it. It's maybe not even the second or third time. It happens, it's been in your mind for a long time. Matthew 5:21, Jesus is talking about the Sermon on the Mount. And he talks about when you think things, it's right up there with the crime. He uses murder, for example, that you get mad at people and it's a sin. So your thoughts become sin. So I encourage you that don't hide from God. Don't hide your thoughts from God. When you go to pray to God, if these things are in your head, these things are bothering you, these temptations, these thoughts of things that you want to do, confess it to God. Prayer is more than just praying for somebody who's sick. Prayer is conversation with God. We need to have some serious talks with God about this. So let's just close for a minute here and say, let's get rid of the idea that we can hide from God. Balaam was going on his merry way, said the right things, looked like he was doing the right things, but in his head he was waiting for the chance to jump for sin. Let's get rid of that idea. Let's get rid of the idea that, that you can hide from God. It's been a couple of years. We had a fight here in the churchyard. And as they were yelling and screaming at each other, I came out there and I had the security dog, Tasha, and Tasha stayed in the office for some reason. so I was all by myself. But the moment they saw me out there and I told them, hey, what are y'all doing? And they're like, oh no, we're fighting on the church yard. And they take it across the street. And God can't see me across the street, apparently, okay? Get rid of the idea. God sees you when you do it, and God sees you when you're thinking it. That's why we go to church. That's why we read Scripture. Because that's how God is eventually changing us more and more and more like Him. Don't go through the motions. Work on your faith on the inside. We avoid the temptation of Balaam to go for a sin reward and think you can get away with it, which he did. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for these lessons. Thank you, Lord, for these examples, Father. Father, I thank you for your presence in our lives at all times. Help us, Father, to remember. Help us, Father, to lean on that, Father. Help us, Father, just to turn to you in these situations. In your Son's name we pray.
Again, we are glad that you're here with us today. We're going to close singing Our God. So would you stand?
Water you turned into wine, opened the eyes of the blind. There's no one like you.
hope you have a great Memorial Day and a special day tomorrow. Thank you for being here. I'll leave you with this benediction. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope. God bless you. Y'all have a great afternoon.